Run the Jewels and Drake together at last.
Go subscribe.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Brews and Reviews. It is knowledge, and I'm excited to review a new Primo project, but even more excited at the concept and series of EPs that this kicks off. First off, the title, Hip Hop 50, means that hip hop is almost 50 years old now, which makes me feel old as hell. I used to tell people that hip hop was the perfect age because it hadn't been around very long, and I grew up in the same way that hip hop grew up. But now it's old. It's getting up there in years. It is a senior at 50 years old. The 1520 Sedgwick Avenue referenced on the cover is in the Bronx and largely considered where hip hop was first formed by DJ Kool Herc, cutting break beats on turntables. And hip hop has come a long way since then, with one of the most prominent producers of the genre being DJ Premier. And here he features some of hip hop's best from the past, present, and future, from Slick Rick and Nas to Joey Bada and Rapsody. Featuring all these different talents of the genre is one thing that's really cool about the concept of this series, because apparently they're going to have 10 different EPs from hip-hop's best producers with MCs from each generation of hip-hop, and no one better to kick that off than Primo. Letting off steam, Joey Bada is a fair pick to kick off the EP series because he kind of bridges the gap between old and new hip hop, and he pays homage to the 90s as usual on this, quoting LL in some dope bars. He says, "Time to let them feel me, don't call it a comeback. Hit them with a punchline, call it lyrical combat." The chorus is fitting because it's one of Primo's trademarks. He's cutting up vocal samples, and it's always dope when he cuts a previous song by the same MC that's making the song, like Nas's Like, for example. Just one instance of when he does that. And here he cuts Joey's previous track, Paper Trails, which also happened to be produced by himself. Joey goes on to reference Shook One's Part 2 and yet more homage to the classic era. Next track is Remy Rap. Primo purposely said that he got two different types of female MCs in Remy Ma and Rapsody, so that accounts for the unlikely pairing. He was trying to do that, and he even said that he tried to get Young M.A. on this, which would have been a third different type of female MC, and that would have been really diverse and dope. I think it would have worked, and I like the approach that he's taking here because some people seem to view female MC as its own genre, as if they're all alike, as if female MCs are some kind of monolith out there, but they are very different. Take MCs as different as Megan Thee Stallion and Ciroc, for example. Very different styles, so female MC should not be a subgenre unto itself. Primo gives us a funky bass line here to get this going. Remy Ma's verse, contrary to trying to celebrate fellow female MC, she's coming out swinging on other females in the game, as she's always had more beefs this side of Azalea Banks, most notably her track Sheether about Nicki Minaj. That, of course, is a play on Ether, Nas's diss towards Jay-Z, and the greatest diss track of all time, in my opinion. Rapsody, who I feel like we've been waiting on for quite a while to drop a project, is almost getting to Kendrick levels in how long she's taken to drop her next album. We haven't heard a lot from her lately, and it's a bit disappointing in what she brings to this, given how few verses we actually get, but it's still nice to hear her flow. Beat Breaks featuring Nas, perfect title for this project, and accordingly, they shout out Breakbeat Lenny and Breakbeat Lou, who created the ultimate breakbeats compilations used by many of your favorite producers in the 90s especially, and I know I've heard RZA to name one, shout that out. In the past, many others were using it, just not mentioning that they were getting the break beats off the compilation album. And Nas and Primo together are hip-hop history in the making. Of course, Primo produced the first track on Nas's first LP, New York State of Mind, and many others besides that, though not nearly as many as Hit Boy, surprisingly, at this point. And of course, Primo cuts up a vocal from their original collab. In the chorus, he's sampling Nas saying, "The smooth criminal on beat breaks." And you know that a line is iconic because as soon as I saw the title for this song, I immediately thought of that line. So I really like that he used it here, and he had to use it. That line, when you see beat breaks, you automatically think of that Nas line, which gives this duo and that track iconic status. And Nas expresses the chemistry that they have together. He says, "Good Lord, now is it me or is they hard-headed? Primo beats are water, let your thoughts dissolve in it. Remember, Nas like a father to the fatherless. We take the pain, smile, and mix it with the street knowledge." Parable 2's featuring Run the Jewels. We're getting some Southern and underground representation with Killer Mike and LP, respectively. And they last worked with Primo doing the scratches on Ooh La La of RTJ4. Primo slows down the production on this a bit, providing a spacey landscape for LP and Mike. And Mike first kicks it off, getting ill with the flow. He says, "Either way, promise Popo Pose will not find us. Different hoes, area Coco codes, they will hide us. Different flows like a menstrual cycle. This is Michael, sick psycho. I be feeling like life is a bit trifle." On the chorus, they are sampling none other than Drake. Run the Jewels and Drake together at last. LP, not to be outdone by his partner, also coming in with a dope delivery and intricate rhyme scheme, stretching out his words, saying, "Aw, dangerous, and we pay aid. This is a raid. Better tuck the chain." And I'm going to drink to this track. I am sipping on a Mind Haze Tropical Crush IPA. That is from Firestone Walker in California, a 6.2% refreshing summer IPA. Let's get back to Primo. The Root of All featuring Slick Rick and Lil Wayne. And if this EP does nothing else, I hope it makes people who don't know dig into Slick Rick's catalog. And if you don't know where to start with 80s rap, start with Slick Rick. He's the original storyteller and still one of the most unique voices hip-hop has ever had. I had the privilege of seeing him in concert 8 or so years ago, but other than that, his appearances are rare. But based on this verse, I think he should put out another album. Don't leave us with just one verse every few years. Put out an album, Rick. We gotta hear it. He kicks this off addressing the root of all evil, but also his age. He says, "I keep sending cash demeanor, working for it meaner. Puts a hurtin' on a senior, have to curtain, cook, and pee on." Wayne starts off on point at the beginning of his verse, but then seems to get a little behind the beat after his last long brrr, after his chopper impression that he's doing. But it's still a good track as Slick Rick's chorus plays it out. First, an observation, they represented just about every era. They could have gone to early 80s or late 70s if they could have found any of those dudes to do a verse. I also didn't think we heard any West Coast representation on this at all, but that's okay. I think we're going to hear it probably in the other EPs. My only complaint about this record is all the songs only had 2 verses and 4 of the 5 tracks were under 3 minutes. That's more of a modern style. So if we're paying homage to some of the past classic eras of hip hop, they should have had 3 verses at least, especially with multiple people on the track. I mean, shit, you know how long some of those really old hip-hop songs are? Look at Rapper's Delight and The Message. Both clock in at over 7 minutes. They just kept on going over one break. So These songs are like a third of that. Still, there's some really solid performances here, and I love the roster that they put together and the contrast they provided in bringing these different rappers together. This is definitely a solid listen, and I can't wait for the next installment. I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna be Pete Rock. I could totally see that. I'd love to see the RZA. There's numerous DJs that could do this thing, but I can't wait for the next one. Enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching my review of DJ Premier's Hip Hop 50 Volume 1. If you like this, go ahead and hit like now and hit me up in the comments if you didn't like it. Also, let me know why in the comments. I drop hip hop and hops related content consistently, so subscribe to my channel now. And until I see you next time, keep buzzing. Fucking man says subscribe.
But if he's on his channel saying that somebody's album is better than mine, unsubscribe to that motherfucker.
No, your album's the best, man.
There you go. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.